In the headlines, another popular Liberian banker renounces doctorate degree as fake credential scandal deepens. LRA Commissioner General Thomas Dona assures quality tax governance following launch of the LRA Foundation. 45-year-old man dies after being trapped underground at a gold mine in Sino County. And away from home, Malayan authorities demand a change of strategy in order to renew UN mission. These stories plus many more developments are all packaged in today's edition of the program ELBC Newsline. We now go over to Nawe Gumen for the news bulletin.
The head of customer service of EcoBank Liberia, Trogon Jackson, has renounced his PhD credential obtained from the online Atlantic International University AIU. The action by Mr. Jackson is due to intense pressure from a group calling itself Campaigners for Academic Crimes Court CACC. The group said Mr. Jackson was among many others who obtained academic degrees from the fake AIU. In a social media post, Mr. Jackson also promised to remove the PhD credential from his resume and other credentials he obtained. Mr. Jackson's decision comes barely a day after the president and CEO of the LBDA, Dio Delane, resigned after CACC accused him of lying about his academic qualifications. Meanwhile, the Campaigners for Academic Crimes Court CACC has acknowledged and termed as a bold step the official renunciation of the PhD degree of Mr. Jackson. The EcoBank Liberia head of customer experience distanced himself from his terminal degree in education leadership management from the fake online degree mail on Tuesday. CACC lead campaigner on research and reporting Martin Colley commended Mr. Jackson for setting a good example with a call for others to emulate. He said besides Mr. Jackson, there is still more than 100 AIU alumni in Liberia who keep infesting the system with fake degrees, whilst cautioning the public to stay clear of the online degree mill. Mr. Colley recalled that another AIU alumnus, Isaac Asrakru, renounced his credential in February this year after the CACC exposed him. The Commissioner General of the Liberia Revenue Authority, Thomas Dona, says his administration is trying to institutionalize good governance at the Revenue House. Mr. Dona said this entails changing the way public institutions are run. He assured that the LRA will continue to uphold excellence and its corporate social responsibility to the people. Mr. Dona spoke at programs marking the official launch of the LRA Foundation. He said the essence of the foundation is to help vulnerable people in society and engage into community services, among others. Mr. Dona said the foundation will be willingly supported by employees of the LRA as the entity anticipates taking the national budget to $1 billion United States dollar. The gender committees of both houses of the legislature have concluded a one-day engagement with the beneficiaries of Case Educational Engagement Project KEEP, She Leads program. Speaking at the event Tuesday on Capitol Hill, KEEP She Leads project focal person Melville Smallwood said the engagement was intended to encourage female participation in leadership. She disclosed that understanding the impact-focused activities of the committees will motivate aspiring female leaders to achieve their goals. The chairpersons of the committees on gender at the Senate and House of Representatives, Senator Boto Kane and Representative Rosanna Shark, disclosed that the committees are working together to make gender equality a reality, the name to failure of women, to support each other, intimidation from men and lack of self-confidence of women, and some of the barriers to women's participation in politics and major decision-making. At least 4 people have been charged with criminal conspiracy and murder for their alleged involvement into the death of 1P Wester Winnie in Bonkonima, Bon County. The 4 suspected killers are Papa Banks, an inspector of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Jack Sayan, believed to be a member of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, Victor Blee, and Rancy Banks. The late Winnie, a co-worker to Inspector Papa Banks, is said to have received a phone call from Papa on Sunday prior to the incident. But following police investigation, his body was lately found in the palm farm with several bruises, broken neck and hand. Meanwhile, the suspected killers of Wester Winnie are currently under police custody as investigation progresses. Deputy Information Minister Jalawa Tompo has said that the Information Ministry is not a tool for harmful propaganda and hate messages has been wrongly perceived by some member of the public. Minister Tompo said predecessors have wrongly interpreted the ministry's role by using regular press briefings and other state conferences to lash out on opposition politicians. The Deputy Information Minister clarified that the aid creating the ministry does not call for rendering verbal threats and going after others.
The Ministry of Information is not a propagandist machinery institution. The Ministry of Information is an institution established by legislature to inform and propagate the message or messages of the Liberian government.
According to Jalawa Tompo, the ministry is statutorily obligated to provide the public relevant information and happenings about the government of Liberia. Minister Tompo spoke recently on the Super Morning Show. The Liberian National Bar Association leadership and the Chinese embassy have agreed to collaborate in several areas that will benefit both parties. The areas include exchange programs between the LMBA and the All Channel Lawyers Association, capacity building, rule of law sector reform, and support of fight against corruption. Chinese Ambassador Rin Yushen assured that the LMBA that they are ready to facilitate visits to China and provide training opportunities for LMBA. Ambassador Rin indicated that China is prepared to adhere to the independent foreign policy of peace on the basis of respect for sovereignty, territorial integrity, equality, and mutual benefit. The LMBA leadership commended the Chinese ambassador and promised to always remain engaged with international partners, including the Chinese embassy. The remarks were made at a meeting hosted by the Chinese ambassador in honor of the leadership of the Bar Association. A 45-year-old man identified as Isaac Gate has died at a gold mining area in Badeho, Sando County. The deceased got trapped under the ground while carrying out artisanal mining. Our correspondent said while the man was digging gold, the walls collapsed, leaving him stranded. The camp manager of the area, Daniel Kato, told our correspondent that Isaac was not one of the artisanal miners of the site, but a cook for the mining company in the area. He told our correspondent that the body of the man was found under the rubble. Our correspondent said the body has been turned over to the family of the deceased. And Buchanan Port manager Sevigos Basigua wants Liberians to stay clear of the plan to protest against the government on December 17. Addressing the media recently, Mr. Basigua said the opposition-led protest is a threat to the peace the country now enjoys. He urged Liberians not to be carried away by opposition politician Louis Brown, who is heading the plan to protest. Mr. Basigua wants the citizens to avoid being manipulated to unnecessarily protest against the government, a move that will have devastating impact on Liberia's peace and development. According to him, protest will not make Liberia better, calling on citizens to chart a course of dialogue